Joining me this week on the line now is Colin Jackson, aka Damien Corvin. Colin, thanks for joining us this week.
Yeah, no sweat, dude.
So you've been wrestling now since 2007, am I right in saying that now?
Yeah, 2007, yeah.
So what first inspired you to become a pro wrestler?
I think it was Hogan and Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
The first match I ever watched was Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania, and it was just awesome. You know, so it was a video I got for Christmas, I think. And me and the little brother sat down to watch it, and just straight away, the Ultimate Warrior comes bombing out, and right there and then, just went, that's the greatest thing in the world. So I've been hooked on it since then. I was only about 3 or 4. Been hooked on it since then, and just continually watched it. And the more and more I watched it, the more I just felt that I really wanted to do it. And then when the cruiserweights got really big, and I was a smaller kid, I kind of went, I could definitely do it, and just went from there.
That's pretty cool. So you've wrestled now under many different promotions here in Ireland, and of course over in Northern Ireland as well. What's it been like to wrestle across all the different promotions, both as a singles and a tag team wrestler?
It's been great. When we first started out, I was really only able to wrestle in one place. But thanks to Jerry Soul and Kev Rocks, they were the first 2 guys who brought me down south and got me just away from Northern Ireland for CPW. And since then I've been able to pick up quite a few bookings through Northern Ireland, through the Republic, Switzerland, France, and a couple of other places, and really worked quite well and quite hard to get myself out there and keep on working and keep on picking up as many promotions as I can. Singles, tag doesn't really make much of a difference. It's good to be able to kind of put myself up there against the best, and whether it's the best singles guys or the best tag team guys between me and Bonesaw and Duncan with the Kings of the North. I'm happy to work with anybody.
That's pretty cool. So you wrestle under the name of Damien Corvin. Now, up in Pro Wrestling Ulster, you wrestle in a vampire persona, as opposed to the Kings of the North persona known in OTT here in Dublin. What inspired you to take up the vampire persona?
The vampire thing was True Blood and Twilight were huge at the time, and I was always a massive, Vampiro Gangrel fan.
Yeah, okay.
So the Broodword was one of my favourite factions of absolutely all time. So when True Blood and Twilight got really popular, I kind of took advantage of the fact that they were extremely popular and vampires were huge, and just kind of went from there. It was also because I kind of thought that the gothic and spoiled brat Randy Orton wannabe was kind of dead. People, it was an in-running joke. They would call me Randy Copeland because it was literally just Randy Orton and Edge. It was quite bad looking back on it, but I just kind of wanted to shake that off and start something new, and so I went for the vampire. I started with PW, but I took it on the road with wrestling.ie.
Okay,
worked
cool.
a lot better for family and kids shows. So I dropped it everywhere else and only used it for wrestling.ie.
I said it was cool. I said it was cool to wrestle the kids there, wrestling with the bloods.
Kid shows are great, especially when you're an over-the-top character. And if you're a vampire, you're a massive over-the-top character. So it was great to kind of scare a few kids, get my mouth punched, and just spit out some vampire teeth, and get them to cheer for a bit.
That's pretty cool. So, is there any other wrestlers or people that influence any part of either your Damien Corvin character for Kings of the North or the vampire persona, either past or present? Like you mentioned, the Broom and Randy Orton and Edges. Would there be anyone else?
Yeah. So with the vampire persona, it was very directly influenced by Gangrel and by Kevin Thorne. Those 2 guys were really big influences on the vampire part. Also, the Fright Night, Colin Farrell.
Okay.
And Kiefer Sutherland from the Lost Boys. I kind of took the 2 of them and put them into the same sort of thing. And I watched a lot of I always watched a lot of vampire movies in general.
Okay.
But I watched few vampire movies again and picked up little tiny things that these people were doing. So when I was doing the more teenager and above shows, I put a bit more Colin Farrell and a bit more Keith Sutherland into it, and be a little bit more vicious, and you can do a little bit more. But when I was in the kids shows, then I was bringing it back to Gangrel and Kevin Thorne, and you know, and those kind of guys to kind of bring me up.
Cool.
When it comes to Damien Corvin, you know, it's very, very heavily influenced by Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
Chris Jericho, you know, some of the smaller guys, but Triple H and Shawn Michaels, you know, those four I would say are the biggest influences for me.
That's cool. Like, I like the attention to detail you have with like Colin Farrell and Kiefer Sutherland in particular. So it's a nice way you could check it out.
When it comes to wrestling, you know, if all you're doing is watching wrestling, you're not really going to pick up as much as you want to pick up in regard to character development. I get a lot of advice from a lot of the, you know, the more experienced guys, and one of the guys I got a lot of advice from, Joe Cabray. You know, in a recent podcast he done as well, he mentioned, you know, watching Snatch and watching, you know, a load of Traveller documentaries and that sort of thing in regards to picking up the Luther Ward gimmick and details from his persona. So, you know, I kind of took that on board and went and watched a lot of movies and TV shows, and I mean, believe it or not, I even watched Twilight once to try and get some vampire stuff, but really that was a waste of 90 minutes of my life.
And that's all.
But the other stuff was, you know, was really helpful, and you know, I do give Joe a lot of credit for kind of pushing me in that direction as well, and looking into, you know, other forms of entertainment and other forms of art to find little tweaks for my persona.
That's pretty cool. So obviously now you're wrestling alongside Bonesaw and your original trainer Duncan Disorderly in Pro Wrestling Ulster as the Murder, and in Over the Top Wrestling as Kings of the North. How would you describe the chemistry of the three of you as a faction?
I think that when it comes to the three of us together, it's like three brothers more than anything else. I owe a lot to Bonesaw and to Duncan when it comes to how far I've developed in the ring and as a character. You know, we were on the road pretty much every week with wrestling.ie, and then with OTT and the other promotions around the country. So they were always giving me advice and helping me with little things and tweaking things. And they all, you know, they watched my matches, or when I was in the ring with them, would give me some positive feedback and some good critique afterwards to kind of tweak everything and make everything a lot better. So we have that chemistry where we're able to kind of throw ideas off each other, and we, you know, we're not shy. If we think something sucks, we're going to tell you. You know, we'll say it sucks. If we think it's good, we'll tell each other that it's good. You know, we picked up the Kings of the North entrance music just driving the show one day.
I love that song.
On the you know, the shuffle and iPod, and you know, so we're able to work quite well with each other that way.
Absolutely, like it combines very well, like especially when you come out, like, you know, so it works very well. So yeah, as I mentioned, you trained under Duncan Disorderly. Like, how encouraging was he, particularly for your wrestling career? Like you mentioned, Joe Cabray giving you tips and bits and pieces, but how encouraging was Duncan Disorderly for your wrestling career?
Duncan's been great with everything. Both him and Bonesaw trained me quite extensively. Bonesaw I train with, you know, probably more than anybody in the entire of Ireland, and they work really, really hard with me in certain aspects and things that maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to. I'm not ashamed to say I was a spot monkey kid. You know, I watched a lot of X Division.
Okay.
So when it came to doing matches, it was, you know, spot on the spot on the spot on the spot on the spot, with no real thought as to why I was doing it. And, you know, when it came to Duncan and it came to Bonesaw, both of them, you know, explained, you know, really, you know, the crowd chemistry and you know, working the crowd a lot more. And then, you know, through wrestling both of them every single week, I was able to lot, you know, and really get the level that I should have been on a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. So obviously yourself and Bonesaw now are going to be starting your own pro wrestling school in Belfast called the Uprising School of Professional Wrestling. So what brought the both of you to start up the school, and what do you both hope to achieve from it?
I think more than anything, it was to make sure that any aspiring wrestlers in Northern Ireland were getting the absolute best that they could be getting. You know, there have been a number of schools, you know, throughout the country, and some of them have been fantastic, and some of them not so much. I really think that when it comes to a professional wrestling school, it needs to be run professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Already we've picked up a lot of discounts and a lot of sponsors and a lot of deals with pro wrestling boots, with pro wrestling, you know, with pro wrestling gear, with tights, trunks, that sort of thing.
It's pretty cool.
You know, Bonesaw is a qualified nutritionist.
Oh yeah, really?
You know, I'm working towards a personal training qualification. I'm currently, you know, a fully qualified fitness instructor. We have physios, sports therapists, other personal trainers that are helping us with the school. And,
Wow.
you know, we're working very close with the likes of Main Stage Wrestling, who are another brilliant school, and trying to get our guys the absolute best that they can get. And that's really all we want to put into it, and all we want to get out of it is that when anyone comes to train with Uprising, that it is, you know, when they pay to train with us, that they're getting the absolute best they can get.
Well, it certainly sounds like you have the best of everything pretty much combined there. Like you mentioned the nutritionists and therapists and stuff like that. So it sounds like anyone who comes up to you guys will definitely be in good hands. So as a wrestler, who would you say are your favourite wrestlers to be in the ring with, and why?
Sean Maxer.
Okay.
Sean is one of my favourite opponents that I've ever been in the ring with. I think Sean is one of the absolute best wrestlers in the world. He has taught me so much from not just a move and working perspective, but also from little transitions and little things that you can do in the ring, and with each and every move and each and every movement that makes things just that little bit better. So I credit a lot of how good I am to Sean. Joe Cabray. Every time I get to work with Joe Cabray, I think I have a very good match of the night contender.
Okay.
We had a match at OTT's second show back in 2014, and it's still one of my favourite matches to this day. I owe a lot to Joe, and working with Joe is always really good. Bonesaw and Duncan, I work Bonesaw and Duncan every day of the week, and I'll be happy to work them every day of the week, and I'll have a great match with them every day of the week. So I'm really, really happy, and really, they're definitely up there with my favourites to be in the ring with. Jordan Devlin is another guy that I absolutely love wrestling.
We had Jordan on last week. Actually, he was telling me
Jordan can make anything you do look just that little bit better. And if you go in there, he will make you look like the absolute best that he can make you. And I absolutely love wrestling Jordan. So kind of heartbroken he's a heel now.
Absolutely, no, by all means.
But it's definitely good for him, and it's great to see, because he really is one of the absolute best out there.
Absolutely, So you've been wrestling, as I said, now for almost 10 years now yourself. Do you still have any short-term or long-term goals you'd like to accomplish in your wrestling career?
Short-term, just continue to pick up more bookings. Maybe head over to the mainland, do a little bit of work around Europe. Long-term is just really to keep on getting my name out there, to keep on helping with OTT and helping it grow. I'm very proud to be a part of the OTT roster, so I really want to continue to work with them and really help them grow as much as I can. And you never know. Hopefully, maybe one of the bigger companies at some point in the future wouldn't go amiss. I'd like to get into work with NXT. I'd like to head to the States long term and do some work in the States, maybe even Japan.
Cool. Well, fingers crossed. You'll get continued success with something like NXT in Japan. So finally, I must ask you, as someone who knows how to be part of a successful team or faction with the Kings of the North, or the Murder, as known up in Pro Wrestling Ulster, who do you think is the greatest faction in wrestling history? You can mention more than one in case you're stuck. You can mention more than one.
That's a tough one. I mean, I think it depends on what era you're looking at.
Well, from your era,
who would be the best?
Well, you could
I would say the top three.
Yeah.
Top three. I would go Freebirds.
Okay.
Horsemen and Evolution. I'm a huge fan of Evolution.
Okay, cool.
I kind of grew up in that. I was a teenager in and around that time, so the music was badass. Triple H, Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really go wrong with that Evolution, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So the Uprising School of Pro Wrestling will be opening its doors on the 1st of August up in Belfast. So if you're up in Northern Ireland any time, come check them out. It sounds like they have all areas covered with professional wrestling, nutrition, and everything else in between. Also, you can see Damien Corvin and the rest of the Kings of the North take on War Machine on August 6th at Over the Top Wrestling. Colin, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. All the best and more up north and everything else in your wrestling career, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. So thanks very much, man.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, and it's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks very much, Colin.